Okay, now I'm recording. Hello and welcome to a special edition of orcusdorkus's RPG Shenanigans. And this is totally not clickbait. So I thought for fun and shits and giggles that I would do something special. I've been promising to get my wife on for a multitude of things, but she is a very busy individual. She is a school teacher and her time is somewhat limited. But now that it's summer, I decided to ease her into coming onto the channel with something that's right up her alley. So what you see before you is a tier list. This is a tier list of the covers of all of technically the player's handbook, so to speak, of Dungeons and Dragons throughout the years. My wife, say hello.
Hi.
Julie, she is an art teacher. She has been teaching art for how many years?
20 years.
20 years. And if you add her education on top of that, she has nearly 30 years of art experience, I would think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Close to it. So I thought it would be fun, considering the bit of controversy that's been rolling around lately regarding the new edition covers, the 6th edition, which we're going to call it, as it's known in other circles, 1D&D or whatever the case may be. I thought it'd be fun to get her opinion on the various covers from an outsider point of view. Now, my wife has absolutely no attachment to the geekdom whatsoever. She doesn't play Dungeons and Dragons. She's not really a video gamer. And she doesn't really partake in a lot of the nerd culture that we're into, other than
nerds.
Right. Other than the occasional, erotic fantasy type
Oh,
thing.
shut up. He sits on a throne of lies.
But yeah, and so she's going to be taking a look at these and giving it from her own opinion. She's got no nostalgia factor thrown into these various images like many of us do.
None whatsoever.
She doesn't have any specific opinions based on gaming culture throughout the years.
Nope.
And so she's going to judge these covers on, well, I would think a variety of criteria. Obviously from, an artistic integrity point of view, I would think. I'm going to provide her a bit of history from what I have as we go through the various covers and kind of tell her a little bit about it. But so what do you, before we jump in, what do you think would be like maybe a bit of criteria that you would be judging these things on?
The elements and principles of art,
Okay.
The fundamentals of art criticism, that sort of thing.
Okay. And I'm going to throw in just one more thing. Even though that you don't have a foothold in the geekdom, I'm going to just kind of toss in the little, would you consider, from an outsider point of view, would the cover make you want to look further inside? Which is kind of the purpose,
Absolutely,
purpose of any book cover, be it a game book or...
It could be a magazine or anything,
right.
Really. And, cover is really important, I think.
Exactly. So we are going to start off with the original Dungeons and Dragons cover. I'm just going to switch scenes here. And going to zoom in a little bit for her. So this is the cover for the Book of Men and Magic, Volume 1 of 3 booklets that came in an original box set from 1974.
Are you sure this isn't like the 1920s or like 1800s?
Nope. This is the original cover. A knight rearing back on a horse, holding a sword, maybe raising his hands in triumph, maybe raising his hands to, declare battle, whatever the case may be. Now, just so you know, when original Dungeons and Dragons came out, they were on a very, very limited budget trying to get these things created and printed and brought to the public. And usually the first thing that gets cut...
How limited are we talking about? Like 50 cents?
Oh, you mean as I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
But just know that art was kind of secondary, so to speak. So what Gygax and Arneson and the other people did is rather than hire, credible artists, they just pointed at a few people they were working with and said, hey, can you draw something? And if someone said yes, they were told to draw something.
Okay.
So this particular piece was done by, I believe, David Bell. David Bell was a young man at the time. And so David Bell was prompted with the task from, a from Gary Gygax to say, I need you to make some artwork. So if you're young and you don't really have a lot of artistic skill, the first thing you want to do is, well, maybe there's something I can emulate. So let's move to this.
Did you want me to comment on that first one? Or
I just want to show you the history real quick, and then we'll go back.
All right.
So just so you know, so David,
this is a cover.
This is the image that he essentially co-opted for the cover. This was from an issue of Doctor Strange.
So totally different artist.
Totally different artist.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So just want to give you a little bit of insight. So he did, I think the term is called swapping or something such as that.
I just call it complete stealing of.
Again, 1974 and maybe a bit of changes. So go ahead. What do you think about this particular image here?
It kind of reminds me of like a vintage plumber's manual. It's got, it's very unappealing as far as aesthetics go. Mm-hmm. It's high contrast. There's no definition. It's very two-dimensional.
Okay.
It's got like cowboy vibes, not like Dungeons and Dragons vibes.
Okay.
It's very like, did I already say high contrast? But
yeah,
it's unified and balanced, but it's technically uninteresting.
Okay. And knowing that he co-opted the image, does that change any sort of opinion or
no
attention to that at all?
No. Having seen the other image, I can definitely see although he made some changes, it's pretty much the same thing, but without the interesting surroundings like the background, foreground. It's just sort of an image stamped all by itself.
Right. So let's pull this image up. Now, obviously, he couldn't directly take this image,
right,
but, he tried. I mean, I believe, and mind you, I'm not entirely versed in the lore in full detail, but I believe this was like an 18, 19-year-old boy who was told by an older man, get the job done any way you can. So, and the original D&D other books were full of images borrowed in this way. Through a variety of different comic books and sources. So,
it's not the first time art's been stolen in the past.
Right.
You look at Roy Lichtenstein, for example. He there's a lot of controversy back in the day when he would take images and pop culture, like from comic books, and copy them and then blow them up and change them up a little bit, add these things, these dots, or whatever they're called, to make them different, make them kind of pixelated and enlarged. But artistically, it's just really not much change. If you look at even the shading, I guess I can't really call it shading because there's no value to it. It's just a high contrast piece. But the areas and the horse and the guy in the background, the shadows are the same. They're all darked out the same way.
Right.
It basically looks like a stamp, and maybe it was probably some sort of linograph or screen printing that was used for this.
Okay. All right. So does it, and you already answered this, but I'll ask you again. Does this give you does it evoke the sense of Dungeons and Dragons, and does it draw you in enough to say, hey, I'm interested in this just by the image?
No, not at all.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the tier list.
I'm going to give that a D.
D. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, for all of the grognards screaming and raging right now, again, my wife has no history with this image. It's purely from a, her own personal point of view and from an artistic point of view. Now, this image is a classic image. Now, that doesn't mean that it's good. And I've gotten into an argument with people about this before. Something you're nostalgic for doesn't necessarily mean that it's good. It just, the image itself and the memories that it provides is what is what draws you to it, not necessarily the image. So cool your heels.
Looking at it from a technically artistic standpoint.
Right. Subjective,
Yeah.
Purely subjective. So now and I'm not going to change it because this is yours, but when I did this, I recorded something like this a while back, but I did it for all of the covers, and it was entirely too long to throw on the interwebs. So I decided not to at this time. My original tier list for this one was a C. Okay. So I agree. This is, I wouldn't say that this is particularly the worst of the worst.
I mean, I could change it around.
No.
There's no rule that says we can't change it.
No.
Right? I just got to see the other ones.
Okay. So moving on. Okay. Okay, so D&D went through some changes. It exploded onto the scene and was wildly popular. Everybody loved it, but like any things that come out in a first draft, not everything's perfect. So some changes were made, and the TSR, as they were known, the company at the time, had someone by the name of, who went by the last name of Holmes. Oh God, you can take away my nerd cred. I'm forgetting his first name. Anyways, that's not important. The important thing here is the image. Mm-hmm. So they came out with what they called the basic set. They retooled a lot of the rules, made some changes to it, made it a lot easier to digest. The original one that you were just looking at was not a complete game. It required a separate book called Chainmail that was a fantasy wargaming book that was required to play the original D&D games. This one was all in one, comprehensive. You can out of the box, ready to play. This piece was done by a young David Sutherland. Now, I will let you dive into it and tell me what you think.
This piece, I always refer to artist pieces, so I guess
that's fine.
I preferred. It's a lot more dynamic than the first image you showed me. Mm-hmm. Obviously it puts the characters right into perspective in the foreground. Mm-hmm. And it kind of, I think as a kid, a young guy looking for something to do, he kind of sees himself as these characters. I can relate more to this as a prospective mm-hmm. customer buying. It's more colorful. Right. It does lack some detail, and I would like to see a little bit, maybe more, I guess, in the background, maybe some sharper imagery.
Right.
Maybe a little bit better on the tones and the shading.
Right.
But it's way better, I think, than the first one.
Okay. And how do you think this piece was created? It's definitely a painting, isn't it?
It looks like it could be either a marker, mm-hmm. it could be pastel, it mm-hmm. could be a painting. Okay. So David Sutherland would go on to do some other cover books. So if we end up doing more, you'll see his work. Some of it improves, some of it not so much. But we'll get to that at a later date. So where would you put this one on the tier list? I'd give it a C.
Okay. A C. Fantastic. I think that's where I put it also. I may have put it into a B, but for me, this was my introduction to Dungeons and Dragons. This was the first box set that I opened, and so obviously there's a little more nostalgia feels for me. So that definitely could play into it. All right.
I think it's going to grab kids' attention way more than
absolutely.
Than the first one.
I would agree. This definitely, this game, I don't think you can see it there in red. I can't read it. Right-hand corner, do they start putting the age groups on the cover?
I don't see it.
With my color blindness, it's hard for me to read that red font. Don't worry about it if you can't see it, if it's not clear.
One SR Games? That's all I can see.
Okay, yeah, no worries. I mean, these are images taken from the internet, so not all of them are going to be crystal clear. Mm-hmm. Okay, next one. Okay, so again, they didn't do anything else with that particular basic set, but what they did is they still fine-tuned it some more. They had more people involved in it. Two people who go by the names of Mulvey Cook, and there's two sets that are included in this edition, basic set and expert set, that utilize these Mulvey Cook rules. And here we see the first piece I believe it's the first piece for Dungeons and Dragons by the very famous and popular Errol Otis, who is still alive today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move you to the next page, which gives you a better version of that piece. So this image is classic. This one is burned into many, many, many people's minds as probably one of the better ones that really captures the essence of what Dungeons and Dragons is. So what do you think?
It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very dark.
Okay.
Like, there's not a lot of color variation here.
Okay.
I see some, a lot of just dark tones, and maybe it's supposed to do that, but I don't think. For me, I think the placement of the characters.
Okay.
So subject placement. They're all just kind of in the same spot. They're in the mid-ground, and I think that the previous one you showed me would probably, offer more imagination. I don't know.
Okay.
However, the details are a little better as far as like flow, detail flow. But again, I still think it's really dark, and maybe it's supposed to be. I don't know.
I would say it is, because, obviously you have your dragon. It's in a dungeon. Now, mind you, it is lit to a certain degree, with the purples and violets in the background. The greens lighted up a bit between, the green dragon, the water that it's coming out of, or if that's acid. But yeah, I mean, and as you could tell,
it's one thing I want to point out is that it's inconsistent.
Okay.
In the value scale here, you have some down in the. I guess are those waves?
If I'm not mistaken, it's green. It's either supposed to be acid or water. It's like the light of the dragon is capturing is reflecting off it onto the waves. Yes.
Artistically, it's actually not that great as far as like the waves part. There's some inconsistency in the value tones. So the contrast is still it's kind of more like the first one. Okay. If I could, share that.
Yeah.
It's very dark versus light. Whereas the second one, this one and the previous one, similarly, even though it's brighter than this one, you can see a little bit more detail in the background.
Right.
But there's some value changes that are inconsistent. So like on the dragon, for example, it shows more of a gradation in color, whereas the goop in the front is it's different. It should be more gradated.
Okay. All right. So first and foremost, seeing this cover doesn't invoke a sense of what you think Dungeons & Dragons would be, and if this was your
it does. Yeah. It does. I mean, it's way better than the first one.
Right.
And it does invoke Dungeons and Dragons vibes.
Right.
I'm just speaking from an artistic
point exactly. We're getting 2 points of view. If you were a 12-year-old little geek girl and you saw this and said, "Ooh,"
girl, I don't know. Boy, yes, because there's boobs.
Okay. Now, mind you, even though a majority of Dungeons and Dragons were men, there's still were plenty of women within the hobby that love this game, and still is, and even more so.
I'd like to meet them.
Oh, I can list off probably 24 without question.
Well, now.
Oh no, I'm talking about in the heyday, in the very beginnings of the hobby.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, again, my wife is not versed in geek culture or nerddom, so I will scold her later.
Okay.
For being basic. So
Okay.
But yeah. So then. Now, mind you, I would, one thing I will say that some people might be saying is this is an image on a computer monitor.
That's true.
And I have seen a recreation of this image as, full blown as a painting. It is brighter in real life. The colors are more vibrant in real life. So that's kind of why.
All right.
That's kind of why I wanted to give you a better, picture. And this right here, to be perfectly honest, the reason why this one looks lighter is a lot of these boxes would fade over time.
Okay.
So the color saturation would start to go away. All right. So continuing on, we have the second issue or the second set, the expert set in the Mold Bay Cook line.
This is the same artist?
Same artist. This is Errol Otis. So
it's stylized. I can see it.
So here we go. So here's a clearer, better image. And one of the things that you can see is he's playing with the original cover.
Yeah, it's cool.
Okay, so and a lot of people don't pick up on that the first time, and they go, "Oh, wait!" In that inner image, he's watching or scrying or maybe doing something different, controlling that dragon that's attacking them through the magics. But what do you think about this one in comparison to the other, and any pluses or minuses you have for this image?
I like it. Okay. I mean, it's more dynamic, just like the other ones before it. I would probably put this in the A category. We didn't do the other one.
We didn't do the other one.
Let's go back.
There's a reason why unprofessional is in the title of my channel. So, all right. So, where would you put this one then?
I'd put that as C.
C. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Great. All right. So let's move back. Okay. So back to this cover or this piece. I agree with you. These are pieces. These are art pieces.
I like it. The wizard's eyes are a little bit big, so technically it's out of proportion.
Okay.
His legs are really long, and his torso from his waist up is really short.
Okay.
He's got kind of a big head, and well, not big, but big compared to his torso.
I've got a big head compared to my torso.
That's true, and his hands are out of proportion as well. If you look at his hands,
yeah,
they're really large compared to his forearms.
Right.
So technically not great as far as like proportion goes, but I dig the colors and the, I guess, retrospective of the previous image.
Mm-hmm. Now, as far as being an art teacher, have you dealt with a lot of like fantasy art or sci-fi art in the past? So
more surrealistic stuff.
Okay. So, I mean, this, as far as proportions is concerned, yes, from a technical point of view, things such as that.
You did want me to criticize this.
No, right? I do. But I also want you to point out that you're aware of those techniques also. So you're not criticizing it, strictly from that particular critique. You can understand why, the proportions are different of what it's trying to evoke and how he's stylistically.
The eyes bug me, but other than that, I like it.
Okay.
It's got a really good contrast. It's a little bit heavy on the right, so it's slightly unbalanced, but I think the subjects are probably what's taking importance in here.
Right.
The subject matter.
Right. What about the colors?
The colors are really good. I think they suit. It's a better mix of colors. It seems like there's a little bit bigger of a spectrum here than what we saw. So there's more choice, I guess, or visual. The colors variation is better.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So where would you put this?
I'll put that up in B. I'll put that up in B.
B. Fantastic. Oh.
I think, was that the right one?
Yeah, I'm just moving this over here because it's blocking it. Okay. Yeah, B. All right.
But you can definitely tell it was the same artist.
Right.
It's very stylized.
Yeah, and he still does plenty of fantasy art today, and I will tell you that his style continues, but his ability has grown since then.
That's true of any artist.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Whoops. Here we go. Oh. Zoom in a little bit. Okay, so now we begin the reign of the famous Jeff Easley. Jeff Easley has done numerous covers for Dungeons and Dragons. This is the first set of the new basic. So we're now on our third box set of basic rules, but this one continues through 5 printings: basic, expert, companion, master, and immortal. And he does the covers of all of them. But we're just going to look at this one for now. And Jeff Easley, you'll see him again several times as we go through this. So
I'm sure I'll be able to tell.
Okay.
The artwork, first of all, I don't have a background in graphic design, so I can't speak to the technicalities of the layout per se, but I personally like a full image layout, like the one we saw earlier. But technically in the image, it's really good. He adds foreshortening, whereas the other artist didn't, or was very limited as far as the characters. And I think that adds a lot of interest. And it's a lot more, there's a lot more movement in it. You can definitely see the character is you. You are this guy, this knight guy. And so I think it appeals, the image itself appeals. But again, I'm not a graphic design person. It's not appealing as far as the layout to me.
Right.
For me, I prefer the full page one.
Okay, yes. And this particular layout will continue for the other 4 covers of the box sets, even though the image itself, you can probably assume that this is, a cutout of a larger image, and it is. And it is.
The outframing is cool. I do like that.
Yeah.
There is a term for it, and I can't think of it off the top of my head, but where I actually have done a project like this before, where part of the image comes out of the frame. So that's cool.
Yeah.
At least he's consistent on that. He's got something coming out of each edge.
Right.
But again, I prefer the full image.
And I think you nailed it there. You hit on the reason why the perspective is you are that person. That's who you could be role playing in Dungeons and Dragons, and thus the cellophane comes off as quick as you can, because you want to make a character and go, delve into dungeons and fight dragons. Okay. Where would you put this one?
I'm gonna put that on a B.
B?
Only because I don't like the layout.
Okay.
But the technical drawing is very good.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, this one for me went up into an A or an S. Again, not from, I did throw in technical perspectives and opinions such as you did, but when I did mine, of course, the nostalgia factor falls into place.
It could change. I just prefer, the layout to be the image to take up most of the cover. And again, everyone, if I just want to point out again, my wife's not a nerd or a geek. So hers is purely from an artistic perspective and opinion. So, all right, moving on. You got to do that a lot of times because, remind the rage nerds to calm their tits. Calm your tits, people.
All right. So again, we have a piece by Jeff Easley. Now, the Rule Cyclopedia, what it did is it brought most of those 4 box sets I mentioned into a singular book in order to allow people to have access to all the rules that they need, rather than to refer to a lot of these box sets. So this came out later after the box sets were completed, along with other games and whatnot. But again, this you'll see Jeff Easley return again and again and again, but here he is again. So what do you think of this piece?
I love it, actually.
Okay.
I don't dig the branding in the middle down at the bottom, so I don't know if that's a publisher or whatever.
That is the publisher. TSR is the publisher.
But again, it's action-packed. There's a lot of movement in it. The dragon's coming toward the guy, the knight dude. I think I would have liked to have seen him going toward the dragon instead of away, but I guess that facing him instead of running away, coward.
Right on. Freaking coward.
But it feels like a painting to me. Like
Right.
Although I do kind of wish I would see more details. Maybe it's just the lighting and the way that it's faded, but
Right.
I like it.
Yeah, now you'll see some of that start to appear. Images that were essentially, a lot of the images for the covers were large pieces, and they tend to wrap around the back cover of some of the books, or they were they were images that were cropped out to fit within these pages. But some of them were exclusively created to fit within the cover of the book itself.
It's really well balanced
Yeah.
for an asymmetrical balance. Is really well balanced.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. You've calmed some tits there. All right. So let's move over.
Are we gonna rate this one?
Yes, we are.
I'd put that on the A column there.
8 here.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So moving on. Okay. Now. Okay. Now, mind you, I'm gonna lead you into this one fairly easy. Let's zoom in a little bit.
Can I just get into it?
Yeah.
Can I just say what I want to say? I don't love it.
Okay.
To be honest.
Okay.
It's just, I don't think it's very appealing. I mean, the little devil dude is like, are you laughing at me?
Yes.
The devil dude, because I don't know what that is, honestly.
It's an idol. It's an
Again, with the placement of the graphics, the I guess the wording,
Okay.
the brand. It's blocking the whole image. It's bugging me.
Okay.
Seriously, they need to tone that down.
Okay.
I would love to be able to see the characters more.
Okay.
This needs to be like a more in your face kind of thing.
Yeah. I should have grabbed it because the image continues to the left, but of course we're dealing with covers here. So
the I guess the little dudes on the bottom, the subjects on the bottom,
right.
Look bored. There's not a lot of action here.
Okay.
The only people, and even the guys, like, I like the concept of them hanging out on top of the devil dude.
Okay.
But they even seem like they're falling asleep. Like they're not really doing anything. It's not there's no movement involved. There's no action involved. Like, it's not appealing to me at all.
Okay.
So I'd probably put that down in the C category.
Okay. Before we place it, I'm just going to give you a little bit of forewarning. This is probably one of the most well-loved pieces of art in D&D history.
Okay.
And the reason being is
the devil dude.
No, well, there's a lot to it. So I'll just
the board wizards.
So what it's supposed to display here is this is a scene after your player characters have defeated the monsters. You can see their bodies at the foot of the idol.
That explains why they're relaxed and bored.
Right, exactly. So
they're just chilling out.
They're just chilling out,
all right,
while two thieves in the background are trying to pry that idol or that gem out of the idol. Again, if you're not aware of the concept,
well, maybe a little context would have helped.
Right, exactly. If you're not aware of the context of D&D, you would probably have people would have the same opinion that you have. But if you are aware of D&D, you know that if those thieves pluck that idol out, there's a chance that idol might be cursed. It could come to life, and all these player characters are going to be taken unaware by this cursed magical
Dr.
idol.
Jones.
Right, exactly. So, but yeah, this is Noah. Mommy just took a dump all over this image. Say goodbye to mommy. So, but I mean, again, from a purely artistic perspective, someone who's not aware of, okay, that's what's going on, I could totally see.
Can we zoom in this image?
I try, but it's not letting me go in any farther for some reason. I don't know why.
You were clicking the minus button just now.
Yeah, but it won't let me go forward or back, whereas the others were. Let me go back one. Let's see here. If I roll in, yep, there's that. If I go over, yeah, it won't let me zoom in for some reason. But yeah, so I mean, you can, I get it, but now that you're aware of it, it seems like maybe it might, at least your idea of it might change a little bit.
Where's the ale? Where are the women? Like, if they're celebrating,
right?
They should be like in the bar in the tavern or whatever you call the place. Where's their tankard of
they're deep within the dungeon. See, they're plotting their next move.
Why are they chilling out here if they're all done?
Because they're trying to decide what to do next. They're discussing, do we continue in the dungeon? Do we take the treasure and leave and then go find, women and ale or whatever?
I thought you said they were done.
Well, technically, you never know. That's role-playing games.
All right.
So, but yeah, this image has been recreated hundreds of times and used again and again, even in the current iterations of D&D. So,
okay.
All right. So let's move over. And where would you place this one? And you can be honest.
I'd say, technically speaking, I'd put it at a C.
C. Okay. Now, the artist, David Trampier, again, one of the most well-loved artists within the early editions of D&D, very talented. He's known for this cover, but a lot of his work that he's more well known for are a lot of black and white art that's within the books, and the artistry of them is definitely different than what it would be. So, what's going on here? Oops, here we go. Okay. Oops, let me just move this down a little bit. Here, can you hold my mic for a moment?
Okay.
It's shrinking.
If I talk into both of them, will it work?
I hope you're not creating feedback.
So okay.
Maybe. There we go. Okay.
Here you go.
All right. So, again, I hope you weren't expecting anything professional. Okay. All right. So, moving on. All right. So here we have a reprint, right? So there was a reprint of the first edition AD&D, and then we see another work here by Jeff Easley. What do you think?
His proportions are a little bit better.
Okay.
I like the action, and there's more movement in it. I think it's more appealing.
Okay.
It does look faded, so it's really hard to judge.
Yeah.
And again, the branding, I hate it. It needs to be taken away from the image.
Really? You mean like around the foot or at the top?
Around the foot.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Details, colors. I know it's a bit faded.
It is faded.
Okay. So.
Value in contrast is really good.
Okay.
It's a little darker on the edges, but I think that's the whole vibe we got going on. There's movement, like I said. It's sort of imbalanced, but I don't think that really takes too much away from it.
Okay. Now, it's obvious that this particular image probably was created to be a cover, since everything is centered within it.
The guy is centered, but not everything is balanced. It's very heavy on the left.
Okay.
So that part of it kind of drives me a little crazy.
Okay. All right. So, AD&D cover, first edition reprint, where would you put this?
I'd put that as a C.
C. All right. Okay. Moving on. I think the reason why it's not letting me zoom in for some reason is because it's freaking out. So, anyways. Okay. Next one. Second edition comes out. And again, we see Jeff Easley.
What year is this?
This would be in the 90s, probably around 1992, 93 is when this I think it came out, but it was definitely early 90s was when the second edition was printed. This would be the last one published by TSR before it was bought out by Wizards of the Coast. And I'll let you know, a lot of people. There's a mix of emotions of this. Some people like this cover, some people don't. So, what do you think? And mind you, compare it to, we've already gone through several covers.
The titling is way too big.
Okay.
They did their writing on the left-hand side, which is good, but I think that was to take away from the fact that it's, I think they're trying to balance out the image somehow, but the branding in the middle, don't like it.
Okay. So what about the image itself?
The artwork is pretty good. I'm not a fan of the face, though.
Really?
No, the foreshortening is
Okay.
pretty good.
Okay.
I think this is a strong piece.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
So again,
Imbalanced, but it's got movement.
now some of the issues that people have with this book is one, they feel that it's lacking. The only real image here is the man in the winged helmet on the horse. You've got these shadowed men in the background. Is he running away with them? Is he leading a charge with these men in the background? They felt like the canyon that they're riding through is boring compared to a lot of other Easley's pieces. And they kind of, some people felt like this when they announced the second edition book, they were expecting something, this is a new edition. This was something that was supposed to, really, slam you in the face, and people weren't too impressed with this one, but others love it. All right, so let's go ahead and.
Am I rating this one? Or were we putting this in a category?
Shit! Did I not switch to the right one? Shit! Sorry. Okay, second edition player's handbook. All right, yes. Let's rate this one. Where are you going to put it?
I'm going to put it in the B category.
B. Okay. All right. We have an Easley fan, people.
A what?
Jeff Easley. You've put most of his artwork up in the higher tiers.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now we go into something interesting.
Computer image.
We have third edition Dungeons and Dragons. This was presented by Wizards of the Coast after they bought TSR. Completely redone from the ground up. Totally different than what the games were before. And this was the cover that they decided to go with. Now, this style, this is like an ancient tome, is what they use for all of their books. So, what do you think about this?
I feel like you're leading me.
No. I will tell you, I threw this down in D.
Did you?
Yes, I am not a fan at all. I get what they were trying to do. This is it's an ancient tome. What knowledge lies within? Remove the sword and unlock the book of mystery. I just didn't.
Now,
like it.
if these are actually drawn images, it's very good. But if they were clip art or a photograph, then I'd be like, eh.
You know what? That's interesting. I don't know. We'll look that up after the fact, but I don't know if this was actually a 3D book that was created and then they put the logo and player's handbook and the text in after the fact, or if this was just created digitally. Now, mind you, this was digital artwork was not where it is today. So it's hard to say, but either way, I mean, just general opinion of this. I mean, I know it's not technically a painting or an art piece, but it's still art. So what do you think?
I prefer the images more, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I get the vibe, like it's trying to be like you said, an ancient tome. Mm-hmm. If that's what you're wanting to do, then you succeeded in doing that, I guess.
Right. Is it appealing to you, though?
Not really.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. So don't let me lead you.
I'm going to put this down in the C category.
C category. Okay. All right. Now, next one. Make sure
I might be changing these around.
That's fine. Once we're done, we'll do a little recap, and you can replace them wherever you want. Okay. So, we have this
one's terrible.
Yes. So I'm
going to put this down in the D category.
Okay. So 3.5 was a redo of the third editions. They made some rules changes. They tried to recapture the same essence of the book, but this one looks like it was just just slapdash and thrown together.
Yeah.
So we'll do a quick one with this one. So
did this person get fired?
I don't know.
Okay.
In fact, this is one of the few that I don't know the artist who did these. So this one's going down into D.
I think it was maybe like a staff writer who put this together.
Fair enough. Much like the young boy in the first edition, right? You make a new cover.
Yeah, exactly.
Get it done. Okay. Fourth edition. I just want to name this artist's name since I have it here. This is by Wayne Reynolds, and he will be doing, I think, just about every single cover for the fourth edition line.
Is that the artist's signature right there?
It's hard to say. WotC doesn't like sharing artists' credits on the cover, So
that bothers me a lot.
So if that is his signature, great, he snuck it in, but otherwise probably not.
Oh, was that the artist, WotC?
No, WotC's the publisher.
Okay.
They're the ones who own Dungeons and Dragons. So 4th edition, not a popular edition. People hated this edition for the most part. It is an interesting turn of events. It became more tactical, kind of like a World of Warcraft online type game aesthetic to it.
Yeah, it reminds me of a video game.
Okay, so that's a good point. That's the exaggerated body, and movements do kind of give a comic booky, video gamey type feel. What about the actual skill of the artist? How do you feel about that?
It's good.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're skilled.
Yeah, you'll see that through a lot of them is, artistically people are skilled, but people don't like the imagery that they're creating. So
yeah, I don't think the movement's not very good. It's not very exciting to me. The technical art is good.
Right.
The value, the proportions are good.
Okay.
The foreshortening's good.
Okay.
It's not that deep. Like it's very 2-dimensional as far as like foreground, background. It's not very. There's not a lot of depth to it. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
So space.
Right.
So that's more of a space thing.
Right. There's no question this is a game. This cover is very, again, could be a video game cover very easily, don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But if we're technically speaking,
yes, that's okay.
Then it's probably going to be in the B category.
Okay. Well, this is your tier list.
I may not care for the visuals, but technically speaking, artistically speaking, it's better.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. So the infamous 5th edition cover. This is the one that made Dungeons and Dragons a household name.
You're setting me up here because I already made up my mind about this one.
That's fine. This is by Tyler Jacobson, and he did most of the D&D covers for the rule books and their game modules. Most of them, because you'll see a different one here in a moment.
I like it. I would put this in the S category.
Okay. Why?
It's the monster guy. Mm-hmm. Is that whoever he is?
That's a giant. Yes.
I'm digging the detail on this.
Okay.
It looks like he's got like a dragon over his shoulder or something. Maybe
like a dead dragon he's wearing. Yes.
Yeah. And just the pointed ears, the wrinkles in the face, the hair, the feathers.
Okay.
The sword, there's a foreshortening with the hand and the sword. Mm-hmm. It's even though there's not a ton of color variation, it does okay.
Yeah.
Because the background kind of takes the color out of it, and it's going with that sort of theme,
right?
Where it's just absorbed by the background. The background has some details in it that you can see, like is that a dog?
I believe that is a hellhound. I could be wrong, but yeah, it's some sort of beast.
There's a lot of action. A lot of movement. I really like it. It's a very dynamic piece. I put this in the A category.
Okay, so just a couple things about this. So this is actually
much better branding too.
I agree that this is one of my better images that I enjoy about from the 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. A lot of people's complaints about it as it progresses is it's the colors continue to be very muddied.
This is not muddy compared to some of the other ones we looked at.
Right, and again, if we continue to do the others, you may see that, especially in some of the other books, but. And some complaints for people I think who might be a bit nitpicky is just some of the perspective within there, like the elf that's jumping. Where is she jumping from? That's a giant. The person, the elf in the corner, looking off in the wrong direction. So these are people nitpicking certain things. But this is something that is that something that you would have captured or caught right away, or if I pointed out, you might go, they're right or they're wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't considering how far can she jump?
Right.
But it does look like maybe he dropped her.
Yeah.
You know,
Could be. Yeah.
because it kind of looks like that, and she's got the flare of her coat or cloak or whatever. It looks like she's falling.
Okay.
When you're jumping,
Your coat's going down.
Your coat is going down, so it does look like he's maybe dropped her.
Good call there.
Or she, squirmed her way out. And the dude, he looks like he's trying to go over there and like catch her. I don't know. The guy with the sword, or he's like, no, you dropped my friend.
That's how we sound when we play. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So no, that's a good call. I for one didn't think about that. Yes, the way the cloak is flared seems like she's actually falling, not jumping. So that's an interesting perspective. Unless the person just wasn't aware of that when they painted this. You know what I mean? It's just
it was definitely painted with intention.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
So going over, where would you put this one?
I'd put it in the A category.
A tier.
Yeah.
Okay.
A. I'm sorry, S.
S tier. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So as they created these books, WotC decided we need more money. And so they made these alternative limited edition covers. Each one has invoking the original cover, and you would see
I see that.
Yeah. And they would carry on like this for several editions where essentially it's just a bust of something within the imagery. And this is done by a different artist. So, and this is a special edition cover. So this one would cost more, even though whatever is inside the book is exactly the same. What do you think?
It's very block printy.
Okay.
In other words, it looks like, again, like a block printed image.
Okay.
Like carved out and stamped.
Mm-hmm.
It does have the same vibes as the first image.
Okay.
But there's more color, so I like it more.
Right. No action though.
No action. Very contrasted.
Yeah. So if you,
I'd put it in the C category.
Okay. All right.
I mean, it's well done as
Yeah.
far as the vibe it's going for.
Okay.
But other than that, it's
Fair
not one of my favorites.
Okay. And my wife is probably starting to trail off here, so we've got two more to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was just released a few weeks ago. This is the new player's handbook. This is done by the same artist who did the 5th edition one that you put in S tier. And there's obvious differences between the two.
This one looks like it was computer generated.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
He says it wasn't.
Okay.
But still, what gives off that vibe, and what do you think about this compared to his original piece?
Just the color working in the background. What does he use then? If he's,
I would imagine it's digital artwork.
that's what I was.
That's
what I meant.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant it was like, he used
AI.
AI.
No. It's
Okay.
digital.
Okay, all right.
That's what I was saying.
Yes, it's digital paints. Yes.
Was the other one digital?
I believe it was.
Okay, well, this is still good. I like it. It's got action, but it's kind of reminds me of like Scooby Doo.
Okay. Yes.
In a way, just the animation, I guess, or
Zoinks,
illustration.
a dragon
Yeah.
Scoob.
Zoinks!
Jinkies. Okay. Now, again, this one, it falls into the category where people say it's a bit muddy. The details aren't as, don't really pop out as much as the others.
I agree.
Okay.
It's still good, but you can definitely tell it's digital.
Right. Okay.
You can see where it was smudged and smoothed and all the Photoshop things that you use, all the tools.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not as much crisp detailed, like you said, muddied.
Right.
I agree with that.
Okay. All right. So where would you put this one?
I put it on the B category.
B tier.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. One more to go. So, like with all things, there's going to be an alternative cover. This one by a Wiley Beckett. This is definitely a different style. Gives off a different vibe. What do you think about this piece?
Is this a digital piece?
I think most every creation is done with digital paints these days. So it's hard to say. I'm not going to say yes or no, but maybe. But that aside, It's definitely all of the original ones up to third edition. Those were actually hand drawn and painted.
I like the color scheme.
Okay.
But that's just a personal preference. It's not,
of course,
like a technical point of view. Technically, there's not a ton of details. Very cartoony. Not realistic. But
okay. In D&D,
it's stylized for sure.
Sure. Now, what about the scene? It's not action. It's a scene.
It's chill.
It's chill. It's a scene of repose.
Yeah. I like the scene of repose.
Okay.
The scenery, the subjects, and everything is cool.
Okay. What about the border and the change of fonts? What do you think about that?
Those are fine.
Okay.
I don't mind those.
Okay.
I think they probably should have made it a little bit bigger. I would have eliminated a lot of the border around it and just blown up the image.
Okay. That's a good point. It gives it a more fairy tale-esque.
Yeah, I like it.
Whereas, some of the other stuff is more, medieval warrior aspect. This one definitely is different. Okay. So where are you going to put this one?
It's hard because I want to put it in the B for personal taste. Mm-hmm. But artistically, it's probably going to go in the C category.
All right. We'll put that there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now what we have here is we have an S tier. We have the 5th edition Player's Handbook. A tier, we have the Rules Cyclopedia.
Can we look at those? Can you go back?
Sure. Which ones do you want me to go back to? Any one of them.
Let's look at the B category again.
The B category.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see here. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. So this is one that was in B. So Errol Otis. This is the expert box set for the Moldvay Cook box set editions of Dungeons and Dragons.
I think that's going to stay in B.
Okay. All right. Then we have Jeff Easley, the red box.
Yeah, I mean, I would put that in the A category. It's just the background. It's just the red border.
Fair enough. Okay, so we have the 2nd edition Player's Handbook by Jeff Easley also.
Yeah, I'd keep that in there too.
Okay. We have 4th edition Player's Handbook by Artist Unknown. I couldn't find it.
Yeah, I'd keep that there too.
Oh, wait, sorry. That was by Wayne Reynolds. My bad. Keep that there.
Yeah.
And then finally, what will be known as the 6th edition Player's Handbook.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to leave that in the B category.
Okay. Anything else? You want to do the C's?
No, it's kind of between A and B.
This one, A and B? Okay.
Yeah. Well, let's do C's.
Okay. So, moving back. Okay. Here we are. David Sutherland, very beginnings of his career with Dungeons and Dragons. This is the basic box set.
It just reminds me of a kid's drawing.
Okay.
But it's appealing in that way.
Okay. Any movement?
No.
Okay. Then we have the basic box set by Errol Otis.
Yeah, I'd keep it there.
Okay. And we have the one everyone's going to yell at you about for putting in C.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with that.
Okay, fair enough.
But that's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's perfectly fine. Art is subjective.
The branding takes away from it a lot.
I know, but we're not worried about the branding.
But it's the whole package. I mean, if you're trying to target, if you have a target audience and you're trying to appeal and sell a book to them, you don't want to cover
putting text over the images. Yeah, I get it.
It's not. I mean, I understand how graphic design works,
right? And
you're putting it over like the main part. At least lower it down to the bottom.
I will say that this is just one edition where placement is put within it. They did have other reprintings where they did move the font around.
Okay.
I'll show those to you. I don't think it was a huge difference. I think this one blocked out the least amount. Mm-hmm. But it did change. And obviously, how would you know that it wasn't by Gary Gygax if it wasn't right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's, he's the guy that He made the art or no?
No, Gary Gygax is the one who co-created Dungeons and Dragons.
I do not like that the artists were not able to show their work.
So to be fair,
this
I believe Tramp's signature was on the back cover of the cover on this one. I could be wrong, but all right. So what else we have? We have Jeff Easley. Now, as you can see, Easley's signature is there in the bottom right-hand corner where the knee is. Now again, this one may not be the best image. The image itself is a lot more colorful. So just imagine more vibrant, but as far as the artistic integrity of it, what do you think? Easley's your boy.
I think I might move him up to a B.
Okay, we'll move Easley up to a B.
Yeah.
All right. And moving on, we have the Player's Handbook.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do what thou will.
Maybe I move that one down.
It's cruel to be kind.
Yeah, I think I might move that one down.
All right. That's why I married you. Okay. And then we have the special edition, 5th edition cover with the bust of the fire giant. I believe it's a fire giant. Now, again, they get more interesting as they go along. But again, this is a special edition. This is one you're paying extra money for just for this piece of art.
I like it. I mean, it's got interest.
Yeah.
There's an appeal to it.
Okay. Do you think it's worth more than a C then, or?
I'm torn.
Okay.
This one and the next one is somewhere between a B and a C.
Okay.
And I'm just this is my personal opinion.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Okay. All right.
The artwork is not supposed to be realistic. It's supposed to have this like block printing kind of vibe thing going on.
Okay. And then the kind of fairy tale-ish composed Player's Handbook special edition cover.
That should stay in there.
Okay.
C category.
All right. So I think we've got them all then, right? Where they belong. Okay. So I will read them off once again. So my wife's pick for her favorite D&D covers based on their artistic value and other things.
And kind of personal opinion, to be honest.
Personal opinion, artistic integrity, and whatnot has absolutely no connection to the nostalgia. We have 5th edition Player's Handbook in S tier. She made a lot of valid points regarding that one. We have the Rule Cyclopedia, which it was very nice for her to really give some credence to this one. I'm glad you enjoyed that one. We have the Expert box set for the Moldvay Cook edition of Dungeons & Dragons. We have the Red box by Jeff Easley for the Beckme box set of edition Dungeons & Dragons. We have 2nd edition by Jeff Easley. We have 4th edition by Wayne Reynolds. We have the coming 6th edition by Tyler Jacobson. And we have the reprint of Dungeons AD&D 1st edition by Jeff Easley. Bringing in the C tier, we have Donald Sutherland with the Holmes Basic box set. We have the Basic box set by Errol Lotus. We have the AD&D 1st edition by David Trampier. We have the special edition, limited edition, AD&D 5th edition with the Fire Giant head on the cover by Artist Unknown. I couldn't find it. We have the Fayish, fairy tale-ish composed cover for the Player's Handbook by Wiley Beckett. And then in D tier, we have the original D&D Men in Magic cover with the borrowed art from Doctor Strange by David Bell. And then we have the 3rd edition covers, which rightfully belong in D tier. So
per you.
Yes. Right.
Does he always talk this much?
Yes, I do. We're going on an hour. So, sweetheart, thank you so much for this. I do appreciate it.
Sure.
You've been enlightening. People, be kind in your comments. If you aren't.
It's okay.
Oh, okay. Well, she said it's okay, but still be kind.
You can roast me if you want. It's
right. But I mean, if they're nasty, I'm going to block you. But if you like this and you would like to see my wife when she's a little bit less tired, carry on It's fine. It's fine. We're doing this late at night. I kind of sprung it on her last minute, and she was very kind to do this. And know that my wife, one of the reasons why we're not on camera is she is in, I'm a teacher, it's summer mode.
I'm in my pajamas.
Right. It's summer mode for my wife. She will be taking the pajamas off in September or August. So, but if you enjoyed this and you would like to see her carry on doing the Dungeon Master's Guides and the Monster Manuals, drop a line in the comments, shoot me a message on all the socials that I'm in. And if you have any question about her own ability at artwork, go to my Twitter account, look on the pin photo, and take a look at that beautiful dice case she made for my son. If there's any question of, does she actually have the stones in art to make these kind of opinions, which you won't be surprised she does, and then some. So this is Scott with orcusdorkus RPG Shenanigans, and my wife Julie.
Howdy.
Well, we're saying goodbye.
Goodbye.
And thank you for watching, and everyone have a wonderful, wonderful evening.
Ciao.
Bye.